I've tried to edit the video that I wanted to put up for this topic, and my god, did I sound monotone. I'm refilming it, but I don't think I sound any better than I did the last time, because for some reason I can't speak with life in my voice. I can't. I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's the first video, so I'm a bit nervous, or if I generally have a really monotone way of speaking. But I think it's the second option. But you know what? Regardless, the information has to get out, because I've created Sickle Synced by Shorna to help people understand about sickle cell a lot more, and to help people with sickle cell themselves be able to understand their condition a lot more. As somebody with sickle cell myself, I have struggled to sometimes find the information that I need for myself. So I decided to create this platform to help the masses understand sickle cell better. Sickle cell disease are different forms of hemoglobinopathies. Now, here's the thing. This is why I had to film it again, because there are some big words in this video and you're gonna have to stay with me. So just ignore how I sound. Just try and keep up with what I'm saying. At the very least, I'm trying my hardest right now. Honestly, I am. So hemoglobinopathies are genetic, they're genetic blood conditions that affect hemoglobin. Now, hemoglobin is the protein found in red blood cells to help transport oxygen around the body. So within sickle cell disease, the structure of the hemoglobin becomes the hemoglobin is basically not normal. So there has been a mutation that has caused hemoglobin to not behave as it should. So because of that, this can turn flexible red blood cells that are disc shaped to become very stiff and crescent shaped. So they end up looking like this instead of being like this. So as you can imagine, because they're stiff, that can cause a lot of problems, especially when the red blood cells get blocked in blood vessels. So not only does that cause pain, but then that can also cause... Anyway, as I was saying, so when the red blood cells get blocked and cause blockages in blood vessels, the oxygen is less likely to be transported around the body properly, and that causes a lot of symptoms. But I won't discuss symptoms of sickle cell in this video, because I just want to give you a basic understanding of sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease can only be passed on when two people have the sickle cell trait or any other abnormal hemoglobin gene. So if only one parent has sickle cell trait, there is no way that sickle cell disease can be passed on. If two parents have the trait, that also does not mean that every single child will have sickle cell disease. I'll have to explain that in a different video, just because it needs a visual but I need to show you a visual representation of how sickle cell trait can be passed on, or how sickle cell disease can be passed on. So I want to discuss sickle cell trait and the transmission of sickle cell disease in other videos, just because, again, I want to give you a basic understanding of sickle cell disease. And let me tell you one thing. No. Sickle cell disease cannot be passed on like a cold. You're either born with it or you're not born with it. I've heard that once or twice, and I don't want to hear it again. Thank you. So, there are various forms of sickle cell disease. So there's sickle cell, not sickle cell, but there's sickle, oh my lord, what is it called? Oh, Oh my gosh. Trust me, this information is going to go out whether it's a mess or not because it's so important. Okay, so you have sickle hemoglobin C disease, and then you can also have sickle hemoglobin O disease, sickle hemoglobin D disease, sickle hemoglobin E disease. Those are more rare, but sickle hemoglobin C disease is a bit more common than the other ones that I've just mentioned. And I do believe that there are other letters. So the letters are basically the type of hemoglobin um, that is abnormal, basically. Hemoglobin A is normal, so all the other forms of hemoglobin are abnormal. So, yeah, there's that. And then you have thalassemia, which they're different forms of hemoglobinopathies in themselves, but I won't be discussing thalassemia on this channel just because I don't know much about them. Or yeah, don't know much about them because there are different forms like sickle beta plus thalassemia or sickle beta zero thalassemia, but again, don't quote me on that. All I know is that there are different forms of thalassemia, but they again also make up different forms of hemoglobinopathies. And then you have sickle cell anemia, which you have probably heard of quite often. That is the most common, but also the most severe form of sickle cell disease that there is. So hopefully that's cleared that up for you because, again, sickle cell disease and sickle cell anemia, these phases can be used interchangeably, but sickle cell disease are different forms of hemoglobinopathies. Sickle cell anemia is a specific form of sickle cell disease. And even though anybody can be affected by sickle cell disease, people who are most likely to inherit sickle cell disease are Africans, Caribbeans, Asians, and also people from the Mediterranean. And as well, sickle cell disease is the most common blood genetic disorder in the world. And it's also becoming a public health issue now just because it's the amount of people being born with sickle cell disease is increasing worldwide. So the reason for this channel as well is to help people to understand sickle cell disease, because if there isn't an understanding of sickle cell disease, then that's going to make it relatively difficult for people to try and help us. I'm really going to make efforts to get the information across. Hopefully in this video you've been able to understand what sickle cell disease is. I'm not sure what the next video is going to be about next, but it does make sense for me to talk about the sickle cell trait next, but I will see. So that is the end of this video. It was relatively short, I think, but yeah, I'll see you in the next one.